Hello, Yahya.
Hi, Martin.
So you're a graduate of the Religious Roots program,
I am. Yeah.
and we're meeting in Malmo, Sweden. What are you?
Hometown.
Hometown.
For the moment.
Exactly. So what are you doing here?
I'm currently doing some my PhD research because I'm looking at how Muslim communities are responding to far-right confrontation and right-wing political activism, which is very much picking up across Europe. So I'm looking at it from a comparative dimension. So I'm looking at 4 European cities, and Malmo happens to be one of them.
Okay, so you're here now.
Yeah, I'm doing some field work at the moment.
Exactly.
So I'm there now meeting members from the Muslim community and just, engaging them in this research project of mine.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That sounds really interesting.
It is. It's really interesting. Yeah. I'm really getting into it.
You're based at the University of Edinburgh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got my studentship from the University of Edinburgh, the Al-Walid Centre there.
Al-Walid Centre.
Yeah.
And you got a scholarship there, right?
Yeah.
Upon
studentship, yeah.
Upon exiting the Roots program.
Yeah.
Upon finishing that, you.
Yeah, straight after the Roots program, I was snapped up by them. So
wow.
Really, really grateful for that. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a fantastic opportunity. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your background. How did you come to Copenhagen and do the Religious Roots program?
Yeah, I mean, it's when I look back at it quite fondly because it just brings up all these memories. I mean, I remember I was in my room in Mecca. I was doing a postgraduate diploma in religious leadership at the Muslim World League Institute there, and obviously I was looking to do postgraduate studies. And the funny thing is, the year before that, I had already applied for the Roots program. I had been accepted by Lund and I think Aarhus, but for certain reasons pertaining to entry visas or funding, I was not able to accept those offers. So I just put it off for 1 year. So I went to Saudi Arabia and just did a postgraduate diploma. So I was really keen on applying again because I saw the potential for this program. It really fulfilled everything I was looking for to do. Expanding my knowledge, having already specialized in the Islamic studies and Islamic theology in particular for almost 4 years for undergraduate studies. So the program just hit the spot for me. So I applied again to Copenhagen, hoping that this time I might be lucky. And the good news came from the faculty that I still remember the email from you that saying that you've been accepted, and furthermore you've been given the scholarship for the program. And it was just fantastic. I mean, it was really phenomenal. So that's how. So I remember just from Mecca to Istanbul, transit Istanbul to Copenhagen. Still remember wearing my thobes, coming through Copenhagen airport, and just having to adjust to Copenhagen. It was it's really wonderful.
It took quite a time to adjust, didn't it? I mean, coming from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, of course, and I'm sure you can recall some of the things that some of the issues I had to go through, and some of the, I had to acclimatize myself. I had to, even though I had been living in the West previous to that, for a couple of years, but I was absent for like 10 years from UK. So coming from the East, the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, going back to the West, to Europe in particular, took some time. And I'm really grateful for the support I had at the faculty in Copenhagen. Just making a soft landing for me.
Yeah. And so you were there for the 2 years that the program lasted, and tell us just a little bit about those 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, the first year, I remember the very first memory I have is going to Rome. The program started in September, right? So the first 2 weeks were just preparatory, just reading the material and preparing ourselves. And then from there, just going to Rome and spending 2 weeks in Rome was just mind-blowing. I mean, can you imagine going from the Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, where there's like thousands of people doing rituals and pilgrimage, the man pilgrimage, and then going to the Vatican and seeing similar thousands on a very different religious landscape. I mean, it was mind-blowing. So that was the first semester. We did the emergence of Judaism, Christianity, Islam, which was really contextualizing the whole program for us. And then I remember the first year we did more stuff like I learned Hebrew in particular, which was quite interesting, considering that I had done Arabic, so a similar Semitic language, you know, I could relate to it. Fantastic, you know, mentorship from yourself, and you know, really good, you know, tutoring. And then yeah, I had a bit of a setback in that I failed my first 2 exams.
Yeah.
Which was you know, not the best start you want to, you know, but you learn from your mistakes. And
yeah, tell us about that.
yeah, I mean, it's quite funny because I came into Copenhagen and I was, you know, I was the scholar. I was like, you know, he's the I remember you going around with me to the faculty and introducing me like, yeah, he's the scholarship recipient for this year, you know, and you're really bigging me up. I'm like, oh man, Martin, you know, tone it down a bit, you know. And going from that to just flunking and failing 2 exams was obviously, you know, not the thing that you want. It was mainly because I did not really know how to conduct academic research on like, let's say, the Western standards. You know, going from a very confessional, you know, approach where we study the Muslim texts from a very confessional approach, as in from belief, and we had this whole tradition of, you know, really looking up to revered authorities, so quoting authorities at length, and perhaps not really willing to explore your own critical thinking, which is obviously the complete opposite of what we were encouraged to do in the Roots program. So I had to adjust to that. So obviously my first 2 papers were written from that, still that, you know, that phase that I was in Mecca, Medina. So I failed it, but you know, I still remember to this day, I got 2 very encouraging emails from trolls, telling me, you know, it's a bad start, but it's okay, you know, you have time, and I know you're hardworking, you'll get through it. And the other one was from Aina, who was teaching us the religion and society in Rome, and he was just saying, yeah, I believe that you'll get over it, you know. So I had to put in some hard work.
And you did.
Well, I had to, so you know, just to prove myself to myself firstly, and also that to make the faculty know that, you know, at least, you know, the student that they got was deserving of the award. So
that's very nice to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's encouraging for students that are coming from different backgrounds to not be overwhelmed by, you know, going into a very different tradition or to a different way of doing things, and that, you know, with determination and with support, you know, you can achieve anything. So I went from failing my first 2 exams to getting, like, you know, to getting good grades after that. And
you did, and getting this
getting a PhD
scholarship for the PhD is and doing really interesting, you know, research in four cities in Europe. Which 4 cities are that?
In the Nordic area, it's Copenhagen and Malmö, and in a British Scottish context, I'm looking at Edinburgh because I'm based there, and London. So 2 culture zones in 4 cities. I'm just looking at, you know, and it was mainly inspired by one of the programs that I took in the Roots. It was the 3 Religions in Contemporary Perspective, which is one of the second year courses that we took, and it's basically about, because the first year was looking at it from a more historical perspective, comparing the emergence of these 3 religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, from a historical perspective together, obviously. And then the second year moved on to the more contemporary interactions between these 3. So that really appealed to me. I mean, seeing how Islam currently interacts with the other religions within the European perspective. So I did my thesis on how Islam was affecting or influencing these far-right politics and movements and groups. So the PhD is just a progression from that.
Excellent. Excellent. So any last piece of advice to people who are looking at the Roots program?
Well, I mean, if you're into religions, and if you're into you're interested in the very, you know, tradition of these great religions, I mean, the phenomenal impact that they have on society back in time, and more contemporary, you know, I mean, religion continues to evoke, you know, crucial and fundamental groundbreaking issues in Europe and across the globe. So, I mean, if you're into that, certainly the program it will really, like, you know, prepare you for that, because it really gives you like a very broad perspective and outlook on things, because you're going from antiquity all the way to, you know, going through modernity, going through the Enlightenment period, and coming to the more recent interaction. So that's like, you know, it's like a good, like, you know, over 2,000 years perspective there, you know.
Fantastic.
So I would absolutely encourage people. I mean, I still recall that due to the proficiency that I had in some of these subjects that I took, I mean, when I sit in some, let's say, academic conferences or workshops, I'm able to engage with like a very diverse range of disciplines and topics. So someone doing, let's say, research on medieval Islam or Christianity, I'm able to, let's say, you know, grasp what they're talking and even make for some critical input. I remember we had one of the scholars that we looked at was Angelica Mayaway when it came to the Quran and you know, the interpretation of it and the community dynamics that the Quran you know, portrays to a certain extent. I remember she came to Edinburgh for a guest lecture, so I finally got to meet her. And in her lecture, she was obviously going on about the Quran and you know the hermeneutics of it, and you know and how we can you know make certain inferences to what was going on in that time, and how the Quran was influenced by the you know in that Judeo-Christian symbolic world. So I was able to engage with her lecture. It was you know it was really rewarding because it kind of showed me that it's the fruit of the program that you know I have got this very broad outlook on religion and religious issues, and I'm able to engage them. Even though I'm doing contemporary Islam, I can also go back to medieval time, I can go back to Intuit, and I can engage with the scholarship there, and I can come back. So I don't know, I just feel like, you know, privileged.
I'm glad to hear it, Yahya. So I want to say thank you for your time.
Yeah, I say thank you for meeting up with me.
Okay.
Having coffee.
Okay.